Okay guys, today's video is going to be an eyeshadow palette tag. Samantha March and Allie Glines created this tag and I've watched other people's videos on it and it just looked fun. So I just want to give my 2 cents and share some of my collection with you and tell some stories about the palettes that I own. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This look was my Project Pan video, so if you want to see that, this is using all my Project Pan items that we're going to try this year to see how that works. So we're going to go ahead and just get started with the tag. The questions. The first question is your all-time favorite palette. And for me, my all-time favorite is my BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. This palette really started my love of eyeshadows and really being creative and trying out new things. Before this, I always had drugstore eyeshadows, Revlon things, just very lightly pigmented shadows. And I got this palette and I was like, I love makeup. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And this kind of started that for me. These matte shades here are absolutely stunning. I do still use this palette on occasion, but this to me started it all for my love of all of the rest of this. And I use this every day. I would only use this, and I put all these colors together, and I just felt so creative and so cute and so pretty, and just, yeah, this is my all-time favorite. I love this palette. The quality is amazing, the color stories are amazing, and this just gives me good feels. So a lot of these palettes fit into several categories on this list, so I just had to kind of narrow it down. So this one is my favorite of all time palette, the Weekend Festival from BH. And you'll notice there are quite a few BH palettes on this list. It's one of my favorite brands, so that comes along with that. A new favorite for me, also by BH Cosmetics, is actually the Lit List. I did not expect to love it this much. It's kind of humongous, but the color story in here is great, and these shimmers down the center are so good. This is such a nice palette, and this is a new favorite. If I don't know what to use, I find myself just wanting to use this. I find myself seeing the shimmers in my mind and I want to put them on. So the Lit List by BH is definitely an unexpected favorite, but this, just looking at my collection, when I read that, a new favorite, this is what jumped out to me. So there you have it. I was surprised by that as well. The Lit List by BH Cosmetics. Let's see, next question. Keep for the memories. This Lorac Unzipped palette. This was my first high-end palette. My sister-in-law had given me a gift card to Kohl's, and I don't know if they still do, but they sold Lorac, and I went in it knowing I was buying a Lorac palette, and it was between this one or the Lorac Pro 1, maybe something like that, the one in the black packaging. And ultimately, at the time, this was what I worked. And so yeah, this was the first high-end palette I bought, and I was so excited. I said, does this look more expensive than my other eyeshadows? And he said, no, it looks exactly the same. So this is just one it's my first high-end palette. I got it and I thought, oh, it's so heavy for how big it is, and just all the things. So that is my Keeping for the Memories palette. Next up is an underrated palette, and I'm going with the BH Cosmetics. This is the Optimistic AF, the Say It collection in general. I think Angelica also had that as her underrated, and I totally agree. These are stunning. I know they still have these for sale, on sale on their website. If you see a color story you like, go for it. The quality of these is amazing. I love this color right here. And I'm not huge into warm tones all the time, and I did a look with this one on my channel. So this is absolutely stunning. And I do think it's underrated because I don't know, the packaging, the whole concept was a little too much, even in my opinion. But the Say It collection from BH, definitely underrated. So if there's something that interests you, I'd say go for it. The next question, or next category, not a favorite but can't get rid of. Not a favorite but can't get rid of. That is the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. The palette itself is fine. It's just a neutral palette. But I love the packaging of this. Absolutely. That's why I keep it. That's why I bought it. It looks almost like a little clutch. I love this palette. For that, I do like the shadows. The shadows are fine. But like these three on this far side look identical on the eyes. These are all just very meh. But I can't get rid of it because I love the packaging of this so much. This is like the most weighted packaging that I've ever held. This is the most luxurious feeling palette. Yeah. So this is one. It's not a favorite, but I can't get rid of it. I know that I won't. I'm just that way. So, not a favorite, but can't get rid of is the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. My favorite collab. Now, I'm going to go with the Emily Edit from Makeup Revolution, the Wants. I am not a fan of Makeup Revolution, but I love Emily. She's so sweet. Okay, I don't know her. I love her channel, I guess. I love her channel. Here's the inside of the palette. I used it quite a bit when I got it. I was very excited to have it, but Makeup Revolution in general is not my favorite formula. So they all started to get hard pan and I kind of moved on, but that was definitely, I actually went and purchased this at Ulta. Like I wanted this to support her, and yeah, the Emily Edit is my favorite collab palette. A 2021 favorite was definitely the Sweet Shop Pistachio palette. I think this came out in like 2019 or 2020, but I don't think I got it till 2021. And it is amazing. I used this every chance I got. This is so pigmented. I just used this in another video actually with the cotton candy one. So if you want to see this in action, check that out. So richly pigmented, so gorgeous. This deep green over here in the shade Crunch, Sweet Life, absolutely stunning. I mean, this is just a favorite, an absolute favorite for 2021. I wore this on Christmas, and you know, I feel like when you wear it on a holiday, it's got to be a good palette. So that's my 2021 favorite, is the Pistachio palette from BH Cosmetics. Didn't expect to love. A palette I didn't expect to love was actually the Aether Beauty palette. And this is the Moonlight Crystal palette. It's not written on this anywhere. I have to look at the box. The Moonlight Crystal palette. Now, looking at the color story, I like the purples and the teals and the blues. But it looks, I don't know if you can tell, like it looks over here like they're going to be kind of powdery. It looks like they're going to be kind of chalky. And they're not. I also have a video with this up. This one is very powdery. I mentioned that in that video. It is all over the place. But the pigmentation and the colors, this was stunning. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. By the time I got done with the look, it was like, oh, it was so pretty. So yeah, Aether Beauty. I did not expect to like this as much as I did like the quality of it. It was absolutely stunning. A palette that sparks joy. Now the one that I have for this may be kind of funny. I don't know. The BH Cosmetics 90s Remix Dance Palette sparks joy for me. I grew up watching Saved by the Bell, which is what this looks like. And the colors aren't necessarily my favorite. It's a really neon palette. Like I don't feel like the colors in here are like, oh, my favorite thing ever. But it's the sayings and the songs and you know, like No Scrubs, Wannabe, Jiggy, Can't Touch. Just everything about this is like my childhood, and it makes me happy, and it makes me just, it makes me smile looking at it. So this random 90s remix dance palette, I thought about picking the 2000s one, but I like the color story in that better, but the actual packaging and the names, it was the 90s all the way for me. So that is the one that sparks joy for me. And the newest palette in my collection is actually a TJ Maxx purchase. It is the Crystal Zodiac from BH. Like I said, it's like a tribute to BH Cosmetics. I don't even know if I've actually used this. I know I've swatched it, but I saw it there for $12, and I was like, oh, gotta have it, because I have the other two, the original Zodiac and the Love Signs, and I had to have it. I had to have it. It's now in my possession. And I think this is the newest palette in my collection. So I've not even used this yet, so maybe we'll have to do a video with this one, trying it out and seeing if it's as good as the original. I love the original palette. That was actually like a contender for the, that was a contender for the favorite of all time, actually. So my newest palette is the Crystal Zodiac. So not a new palette, but my newest palette. And the last question is my first palette used in 2022. And I actually don't know which palette that was. I tried to think back on what I wore on New Year's, and I actually didn't wear any makeup on New Year's. My son was sick, and we stayed home and celebrated just us. So that was the only thing that would have jogged my memory of what I wore. But from the rest of this selection, I can only assume it was a BH Cosmetics palette. But I think that's it for today. I just wanted to talk about my palettes a little bit. I may go back and try to find the first original tag. I know this was part 2 of this. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my palettes a little bit. And I think that's it for today. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.